Hello, everybody. This is your Monday, August 3rd coronavirus update. I have some troubling news, but we'll get to that in a second. Let me get to your cases first. So, compared to yesterday, I did not do a coronavirus report yesterday, but compared to yesterday, um, there have been 58,947 new cases reported. That brings our total nationwide cases to 4,601,526. The total deaths, there have been 1,132 deaths, and that makes the total deaths, since yesterday, I should say, that makes the total deaths overall since the start of the pandemic 154,002. Cases continue to spread into the west and the northwest. And deaths are still centered, for the most part, around the states that I've been talking about previously, around New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Florida, Texas, California, Illinois, and Michigan. There was a small drop in cases between the July 31st and August 1st, which is the latest date that we have a kind of a graph on the CDC website to look at. But Dr. Deborah Birx, who is, kind of the head of the coronavirus task force, people talk about Dr. Fauci, but Dr. Birx is kind of the one who heads it up. She made a statement yesterday that tells me that, the government, folks in government are a little scared. She said that the U.S. is in a new phase in its fight against the coronavirus pandemic. And she talked about how the virus is more widespread than when it first took hold in the U.S. earlier this year. It's extraordinarily widespread. Let me just read you a quote from her, actually. "What we are seeing today is different from March and April. It is extraordinarily widespread. It's into rural as equal as urban areas." So, pretty well previously, a lot of the virus cases were centered around urban areas. Where I am here in Columbus, it was one of the hot spots in the nation, and certainly in our state. But now the virus, it's leaving these dense urban areas and it's moving out into the rural areas. Now, I don't know about where you are, but rural areas where I live, folks tend to be very stubborn and very conservative. They have a kind of a libertarian streak. So this is a very scary thing for me, at least. I have family out in rural areas. Most of my family's out in rural areas. And, I hear, for example, my mother frequently talks about, how folks will not wear a mask. They won't do anything social distancing wise because they have not yet been affected by this virus at all. They won't take it seriously. I don't know if that's just rural Ohio, but I suspect it's nationwide for the rural folks. I'm worried about them. In spite of their stubborn dumbassery, I am worried about them. In other news, Vice President Mike Pence, who heads the coronavirus task force, Dr. Birx works under him, declared in a Wall Street Journal op-ed that the U.S. is winning the fight and there isn't a second wave, despite the doctors saying otherwise. One other thing that Birx talked about was schools in states with a 5% positivity rate. Should they remain closed or have distance learning, or what should they do? So she responded with, if you have a high caseload and active community spread, It's just like we are asking people not to go to bars, not to have household parties, not to have large spreading events. We're asking people to distance learn at the moment so we can get this epidemic under control. That's contrary to what President Trump and the rest of the administration is saying. Um, and I applaud her courage. So, with that, I don't have anything else to say on the coronavirus. Our government doesn't know how to respond to this. They aren't even trying, really, I don't think. Our leadership, I should say. It's a shame. So, with that, I'll end this update on that kind of somber note. And I wish you the best and have a good week. Bye bye.
All right, so our fried chicken is finished. I just pulled it out of the deep fryer a few minutes ago. Well, the second batch, I should say. And I'm about ready to give it a try. But before I do, I just wanted to mention, I forgot in the last part of the video, that you need to leave it in the deep fryer at 375 for about 15 minutes. If you want to be really safe, you could use a meat thermometer, and you want to reach an internal temperature of 175. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. But all right, let's try a piece. Oh. The skin has a wonderfully strong flavor. You can taste the garlic and the onion powder so much. Not overpowering, just enough. Excellent. All right, that's it for this episode. If you have any questions, comments, or anything at all, just leave it down at the bottom. And until next time, enjoy. Goodbye.